So there's this interesting phenomenon I've noticed with a lot of the engagement that my content tends to get. And I'm sure this probably happens on other people's pages, etc. too. Now, we're in this sort of age of information where we have literally access to infinite or pretty much infinite amounts of information. Like pretty much anything we want to know, we just pick up our phone, type it in, and we're going to find an answer. Whether it's the correct answer or not, who knows? Sometimes there's a bunch of bullshit all over the internet, as we know. But the truth is, we have pretty much unlimited access to information. Now, the catch is, of course, we want advice, we want answers, often to give us the certainty and the clarity that we need so we can move forward and obviously make a decision, take action, and therefore achieve something. Maybe a goal, a dream, something like that, or it might just be a day-to-day task that we're trying to get completed and we need some help or advice on. Now, one thing that I would have you consider, though, is that maybe you already have all of the information you need, and perhaps you are the best person to go to for your own advice. Now, I say this because this phenomenon I've noticed with the content that I post and the way people interact with it is, for example, if I put up a question saying, how do you deal with your fat loss, or what are your favorite meals for helping you lose weight? They tend to get very little engagement compared to if I frame it differently and was to say, your friend is trying to lose weight and they're struggling. What 3 meals do you think they should use to help with? Or if I was to say, what's your best advice for a friend who's trying to lose weight? So if I take the emphasis off the individual and frame it up as if they're giving advice to a friend, more people will engage. I get far more engagement, far more comments. And of course, I get lots of insight and revelation into how people are thinking about approaching the particular topic I've asked about. But what it shows to me is that actually most people have a lot of information already. They have a lot of knowledge, maybe even experience too, and perhaps even wisdom that they can already share with others. The catch-22 is they don't truly believe in it enough to follow it themselves. So although they have these ideas and these thoughts and this knowledge and so on, they will happily share it with others. If their friend is struggling, if a family member is struggling, they'll share what they know, share their experience to try and help this person move forward. But then what's happening on the flip of that is they're not actually implementing those things for themselves, and therefore they aren't getting the result. So they have all the answers required to help somebody else get the result, but they don't believe in it enough to take the action themselves and therefore get the result for themselves. Now, one of the other things you guys might have noticed is I regularly put up quotes of my own. So many of these come from coaching sessions and things like that, and I might say something that's quite interesting and it kind of sticks. The other thing that happens is I actually go through a process called stacking every single morning. Now, essentially what it is a form of a conversation with myself, which is similar to journaling, but it's a bit more structured and leads to specific results. Now, what it does is it allows me to identify my triggers, my limiting beliefs, any failures or flaws or things that I perceive within myself, and go and attack them. Now, the goal is to find out, well, is this thing real, or have I just attached a particular meaning to it that is no longer serving me? And if so, what was the story I told myself that created this trigger, or that I told myself as a result of this trigger? And now I've identified that, what new story can I write in order to move on from it? So I can leave that thing in the past and move on with my future. Then by the time I get to the end of the stack, the goal is to now have a lesson. Like, what was the lesson I learned from this previous experience that can actually help benefit me in the future? What was it here to teach me? And those are the quotes that I often share. So a lot of people are like, well, where do you get this stuff from? Like, you think quite interesting, you think different, you have some interesting perspectives, and it all comes from myself. Now, of course, there'll be elements of it that maybe come from things I've learned before or experienced from other people and so on. But in that moment, the lesson that I've learned is based on an experience that I've had and how I'm now choosing to interpret it so that I can move forward in power rather than in pain and in struggle like I'd been held captive by it before. So now I'm choosing to move forward with this new story. And then, of course, I share it with you guys and often add in some text to give it some relevance to you. So it's like, here's my lesson. Here's how this might apply to you to help you move forward as well. So my point is, you can do the same thing. Now, whether that's through a stack like I do, or just by learning to analyze your past experiences and anything that's holding you back, what you'll likely find is through those experiences that you've had and the knowledge you've gained from that, you probably have a lot more wisdom around the subject and the things that you need to do to move forward than you give yourself credit for. Now, it's one thing for us to look on the internet, go onto YouTube and Google and so on, and to try to find the answers from all of the experts and gurus out there, or the celebrities that we like to follow because we find them inspiring or we feel like they're good role models and so on. But the truth is, nobody will ever be a better role model than yourself, because your results in life and the way you've been showing up for yourself will tell you everything you need to know about what you should or should not continue doing moving forward. Now, this isn't me being totally arrogant and saying, oh, well, if that's the case, you know all the answers, you don't need a coach, you don't need a guide, you don't need help or advice or guidance from others, because often we do. But it's not so much that we need them to tell us exactly what to do. They might just show us new ways to do what we already know we should be doing. So they might show us ways that are more in alignment with the things that we want to achieve, the way that we want to live, and maybe they'll show us paths that we hadn't yet seen or considered that might serve us better than the ones we've been trying and maybe struggling on and so on. So I'm not saying you won't ever need or want help or guidance from others, but what I'm saying is once you learn how you operate best, then it makes it much easier for you to decide for yourself, is this particular information I'm getting from this person or this being or this entity outside of me relevant to the outcome that I want? Because the catch is, if not, we just get this whole abundance and load of information that may or may not serve us. And we think, oh, well, I'll just try that and see if it works. And if it doesn't work within a few days, quite often we fall off the bandwagon, sabotage ourselves and let it go. But if we're able to actually analyze how does this experience, this information, or this thing relate specifically to me, where I'm at right now, and the outcomes I want to achieve, then it's much easier for us to make a decision and a commitment in power that will actually allow us to move forward. One that we will actually trust in, because not only did I get confirmation from this other person that it's the right way, but I also got it from myself. Now, I won't lie, sometimes it can take time for us as individuals to learn how to trust ourselves again, because many of us have spent so long making mistakes or things that we perceive as mistakes and failing to follow through on what we said we would do, that we over time have lost trust in ourselves and our ability to follow through. It's like, yeah, you said you'd do it, but I know you won't. You've been saying for years that you were going to achieve X, Y, or Z, but yet you still haven't done it. So clearly you're just talking shit. And as a result of that, and us not actually showing up for ourselves, not following through, we end up in this place of distrust of self. So therefore we don't want to go to us for advice because, well, essentially you're full of shit. You say this, but you don't do it. You do this and you say you won't, and so on. So we end up essentially acting out of alignment with ourselves. We are out of integrity. And until we can shift ourselves back into integrity and live within truth, which is often has to be based in and grounded in the facts of exactly where we are right now, until we can get clear on that point, it's very difficult for us to set course for where we want to go, because you cannot have a true vision of where you want to go unless you know exactly where you are. You can have an idea of some things that you might desire, but until you know the real facts about what's going on for you in your body, your being, your balance, and your business, unless you know what that foundational element looks like, it's very difficult to tell the truth about what you want. Because quite often what will happen if we haven't got grounded on exactly where we are is we will have ideas and fantasies. We will create fantasies about what it is we want and what it is we would like to have, because it allows us in the moment through our imagination to experience it. We get a bit of a lift because it's exciting to think that I might be able to have this thing. But what we do, because we're not actually living in integrity or in alignment with what's true right now, is we never actually achieve that thing. And instead we just settle for that little uplift or that imagination of it that gives us a bit of a boost, because that way we get to live it whenever we want it, but without actually doing the real work needed to go out there and achieve it. So that's my video for you tonight, guys. So what I want you to consider is perhaps you are the best person to go to for advice. Believe it or not, every experience you have, whether good or bad, has the potential to teach you something, as long as you're willing to go back and investigate what that lesson might have been. In the moment, of course, particularly if it's a painful thing that you've experienced, it might seem like, well, this served no purpose but to give me pain. It was designed to make me suffer and therefore make me feel like shit because that's what I deserve. I don't deserve to be happy and so on. And that may be the meaning you've attached to that experience. But if you're willing to go back and re-experience it through your mind and heart, then it's quite likely that what you would find is actually there is a greater meaning beyond that initial perception that we had of it. A meaning that can actually give us a new lesson and a new story that we can now use to build the future that we actually want to move into without continually being anchored and held back by a painful past that we no longer want to live through, no longer want to experience, but we find ourselves trapped there because of the lie, essentially, that we told ourselves about that particular experience. So that's what I'll leave you guys with tonight. Now, if you guys want to learn more about what this stacking thing is, all you need to do is reach out to me in Facebook Messenger, send me a message, say, hey, Ty, you keep talking about this stacking thing. I'm interested to learn more. Let me know what it is, and I can let you guys know exactly what it is, how it works, how you can get this powerful tool into your life and start using it to not only coach yourself, but also start reframing some of those painful stories and narratives, perhaps from your past, that need to be addressed so that they can turn into powerful lessons and stories that can help serve you and move you into the future that you're trying to build, whether that's in your body, in your being, your balance, or your business. Thanks for watching, people. I appreciate your time as always. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if not, I shall chat to you all in my next video.